If you're a NASCAR fan, one of the best reasons to watch is because of the rivalries. The times where a driver will wreck another driver. Maybe a punch is thrown, or maybe a huge altercation is on pit road with your entire team going at the guy you're mad at. You never know what you could expect during a NASCAR race, and NASCAR was built on fights. Like it or not, that is a fact. So we're going to look at some of the best NASCAR altercations, tempers, and many more upset driver moments in the history of NASCAR. This is also a forgotten moment in Tony Stewart's career when he was extremely upset at Jamie McMurray in 2007 at Talladega. With 2 laps to go, Jeff Gordon would lead the pack down into turn number 1 to restart the race, looking to claim another victory at Talladega. In the back, Tony Stewart had one of the fastest cars that day and was trying to make some moves down the back straightaway. A wreck would ensue behind them, bringing out the caution flag, and as that happened, Jamie McMurray would clip Tony Stewart down the backstretch, sending him crashing into the inside wall. Tony Stewart would then get out of his race car and point to Jimmy McMurray as he came back around on the white flag. He showed McMurray how upset he was. But he didn't stop there. Tony Stewart gave one of the greatest post-race interviews I've ever seen. Just take a listen to this.
Right here, you see the 38 and Tony.
Ooh, who tipped David Gilliland around?
Somebody must have, was it 26?
Ouch.
Man, that's a hard hit, and there's no safer barrier there.
To freeze the field and end the race. Stewart very unhappy.
Not sure what that's about. We'll figure it out, though.
Because somebody sure turned him.
Matt, we've caught up with Tony Stewart, and Tony, I know you want to take a look at the replay on our monitor. What was your perspective having not seen it yet?
We just got crashed. We had the 26 just inside of us and the I think the 38 inside of him. So I really want to see the replay before I really say anything, though.
All right. I don't know if we here we go. Here's a replay, Tony. Take a look.
Well, wreck's behind us too, but that's part of it that gets us in the wall, and then we get hit a second time, and we'll see who. We've already crashed here,
Yeah, that's the aftermath. That's already after car got up into the side of you.
And then the 38 car just plows us for no reason. So I guess he's still mad for the Busch race yesterday, but no talent there, I guess.
Take a look at the in-car, Tony.
Yeah, just like I saw it. I mean, get hit and get pushed in the wall. But we're done wrecking right there, and then all of a sudden we get jacked up by the 38 car for no reason. There was absolutely no reason for that to happen. So he's just taking it out on us for yesterday when he turned down across the nose. So yeah. Lucked into his cup ride, but I don't know. We'll see.
If you want to see one of the greatest rivalries in the early 2000s, look no further than Kurt Busch and Jimmy Spencer. It all started out in 2002 when Busch and Spencer were racing hard for the lead at Bristol. Kurt Busch would get into Jimmy Spencer and send him up the track, ultimately taking the position away and winning the race. This did not sit well with Jimmy Spencer, and he was extremely upset at Kurt Busch.
Winston Cup rivalry was born, and revenge was all but promised.
Got railroaded out of the lead, just got smashed 2 in the back bumper. I mean, it's evident on tape. I'm sure they got it. Shouldn't race that way, but he won it. I just don't forget, that's all.
All right, survey says, who is he racing with there? We're here, and it's a red car.
Jimmy Spencer?
Yeah. That would be what, the 3rd or 4th time this year that they've tangled?
Remember Bristol, down that long straightaway, Kurt moves over to get some air between the 2 cars. Get to turn 3. Ooh. He just booted him out of the way.
Wow, that's not good.
Yeah. I mean, here you got a guy coming, okay, he passed him clean, and you can see the car was slowing up in front of you. I don't think Kurt's gonna let that one go.
Before we get into this next clip, can we just appreciate old bumpy Daytona? Man, that was some good racing. Anyway, Kyle Busch and Brad Keselowski ended up getting into each other on the final lap of the Daytona race in the NASCAR Nationwide Series. And down the backstretch, Busch would show his displeasure with Keselowski as they would bang doors to each other. They had already had some moments in the race with damage, and they just wanted to finish the day. But unfortunately for both of them, neither one of them picked up the win.
Did he get any help? Not right now. Now he's going to look low.
Here comes
Meanwhile,
Paul.
going to crash. Busch, the 22 of Keselowski. What happened, and it looks like there's going to be some discussion in pit road again.
We can talk about what might have happened, but they obviously disagree with that.
Well, there's parts and pieces all over that backstretch.
To take them from now to the time the truck race is going to start to get this place cleaned up for them.
All right, let's take another look at it. Watch the 18, the 22.
Well, Kyle's loose there. Yeah, he gets loose.
Yeah.
Yeah. Keselowski didn't do anything there.
Oh, I think he thinks maybe Brad gave him some help, and he didn't.
Coming to the checkered flag.
And here was the race coming out of 4 for the group up front. Look, watch Harvick.
See Harvick down all the way to the inside right here. Justin Allgaier was trying to figure out who.
If you were a Jeff Gordon fan, you probably hated Rusty Wallace because of the rivalry that he had with Jeff Gordon on the track. But little did you know, he was probably also hated by Ricky Rudd and his fans. Rusty Wallace and Ricky Rudd had multiple altercations, and one of them that will always be remembered was at Bristol for the night race.
Stewart gets his 3rd win of 2001. He wins the Sharpie 500 at Bristol. Last lap change of position. Ricky Rudd gets by Rusty Wallace, and Rusty's obviously not happy at the tactics.
And Dale Jarrett spins down in the corner.
Tempers, right to the very end.
After the race with you and Ricky Rudd, what happened at the end of the race?
I just got racing order in turn 3. I got a little bumper behind and lost a position. That's about it. Just a Bristol racing.
A little retaliation?
No, I just couldn't get stopped.
And Rusty Wallace, very kind with his words, very politically correct. Come home with a 5th place finish, and he is on his way to the Winston Cup truck for a talking to Dave Burns.
After a couple of races where Ricky did not finish well at all, a good rebound tonight. Tell us about the, some are calling an incident on the last lap with Rusty.
Well, I'm not really sure. Evidently, Rusty's brakes went out about 3 or 4 laps ago. I was able to catch him, got into him a little bit, and I guess when the race was over, his brakes really didn't work. So they're paid to favor, I guess.
Dale Sr. is a driver who would make bold moves on the racetrack, putting other drivers in jeopardy. But one of the most horrific crashes that him and Darrell Waltrip ever had was at the Winston in the All-Star race at Charlotte. Him and Waltrip would get to each other coming off in turn number 4 at Charlotte, and he ended up actually breaking Waltrip's ribs in this accident. But it wasn't the first time either. On the final lap of one of the Richmond races in the 80s, Darrell Waltrip and Dale Sr. would be racing hard down the backstretch. Ultimately, Dale Sr. would intentionally wreck Darrell Waltrip, sending him crashing in the wall and himself. This was extremely uncalled for.
4 cars, there it goes. There's Bodine into the fence. Joe Rudman spins around. Who's going to win the race? Where's Kyle Petty?
Here they were.
They're going down the back straightaway. Earnhardt drives in the right rear quarter of Waltrip.
Takes himself out.
Takes himself out.
Like I've said a minute ago, Darrell Waltrip and the NASCAR All-Star race have always put on some special moments. This time was extremely heartbreaking for Waltrip, and it was also a turning point as he'd become beloved by many fans, and Rusty Wallace would become the villain. Rusty Wallace would wreck DW on the exit of turn number 4 at Charlotte, sending him spinning through the grass and ultimately taking home the win and costing Waltrip a shot at the victory. Waltrip was extremely upset post-race.
Wallace comes down low again. He puts the tire. Waltrip loses it as they touch. Waltrip spins it backwards across the grass as they come to the white flag. The yellow flag comes out. The yellow flag comes out.
Coming down to get the white flag, he just drove in under me up there and just turned me around. It didn't take a lot, but, with some people, you know how they are. So if you open the door, I guess you get what I guess you can expect, something like that. It was uncalled for. I could never race. I could never walk through this garage area having done that to someone, but some people can, and more power to them, I guess.
If you've ever watched the movie Days of Thunder and wondered if it was based off any real-life drivers, look no further than Dale Sr. and Jeff Bodine. They ran into each other so much on the track, NASCAR knew they could market this and make a movie out of it. Jeff Bodine and Dale Sr. ran into each other so many times that NASCAR had to sit both of them down and say, if this continues, you both will be kicked out of our sport. He was extremely upset with both of them and their team owners.
All the way around in the front end will nail that wall hard. Earnhardt on the radio was saying that he never touched number 5. Want to see that again?
It's getting kind of hard to accept when you got a lot of sponsors and crew here that worked hard to put the car on the track, and 2 days your car gets taken out for no apparent reason. And
Dale and I touched coming off turn 2. I guess kind of like we did yesterday, and I was going on the outside of him down the back straightaway, and I guess he turned right for some reason. You know, we'll need to ask him why, but I guess obviously NASCAR saw what happened. They penalized him 5 laps.
Robbie Gordon is definitely an interesting character in NASCAR when he raced. His aggressive driving was shown on the track, and it made a lot of other drivers upset. So, one time he got into the other Gordon, Jeff Gordon it may be. On the final race of the 2001 season, he ended up wrecking Jeff Gordon out of a great finish and even a shot at the win. Gordon was upset, and he would bang doors with Robbie Gordon down the backstretch.
See, everybody thought you couldn't make me mad. You can make me mad.
I can.
Everybody. You know, anybody really, but that 31 certainly did today. He should be embarrassed right now to win that race. It was going to be a heck of a battle. I mean, it was between me and him anyway, you know, and I just wish it would have been done fair and square instead of just knocking the guy out of the way. And we had some lap traffic to go through, and you got to be patient. I don't care if there's 15 laps to go. You got to know how to be patient. And, you know, it just didn't happen that way. I was mad. You know, I mean, at the time, hey, I understand why guys do that kind of stuff. I just wish I would have taken his, you know, tire down or something, at least so he wouldn't have won the race. I mean, I just didn't do a very good job of it. But, you know, it's not what you want to do. It's not sportsmanlike, I know. But, hey, man, I didn't think it was sportsmanlike what he did to me, and they didn't penalize him. So.
All right, Jeff Gordon obviously with a smile on his face, but still a little disgusted with his 15th place finish. Alan?
In my opinion, if you've ever wanted to do the bump and run on somebody, this is exactly how you do it. A closing Jeff Gordon on Rusty Wallace during the 2002 Bristol night race, he would drive into one of the turns, bump Wallace up the track, and he would go on his way. Gordon would ultimately pick up the victory, and Wallace was extremely frustrated post-race, and rightfully so. Nowadays, the bump and run is used to honestly wreck your competitor, but Jeff Gordon showed that it's possible to move somebody without wrecking them. And this is probably one of the most iconic moments in Jeff Gordon's entire career.
A couple years ago with Jeff, Rusty, what do you have to say about this?
It's just racing, I guess, you know. It's just I would have liked to won. It's been a long time since I won, but been a long time since Jeff won too, and I know he wanted it real bad too.
You think, I mean, that's obviously why it was such a fight. You guys are both hungry for this win.
Yeah, we're real hungry for it. It's been a long time since I won. I guess my day's coming, but man, I've tried real hard, and they get nailed in the rear end in the last lap and turned sideways. I didn't expect it. But I got behind that 25 car, just couldn't get around them. The lap car slowed me down, and when I got to them, I knew I was going to have a problem. And I lost the lost the air to the front. It allowed Jeff to get up on me in my rear end, and just enough to get he just got to me where he could hit me. I was trying desperately to knock the shit out of him. I just couldn't catch him.
All right. Rusty will be back again very soon, guys, on a track near you, Marty.
Coming to the white flag, there's a leader change, and Labonte takes the lead.
And meanwhile, Ricky Rudd trying to...
Oh, and Earnhardt spins him out.
Oh, man.
And Tony Stewart is involved with the crash, as is Mark Martin, Sterling Marlin, and several others. Dale Earnhardt takes the checkered flag.
And Jimmy Spencer ran second.
Terry got into me in the middle of 3 and 4, and I was going to get back to him and just rattle him. I wasn't going to wreck him, but I got to him and he turned him around. So didn't mean to really turn around, meant to rattle his cage, Joe.
The 2006 season was honestly very interesting for Tony Stewart. If he had made the chase in 2006, he would have been the champion and would have gone back-to-back. But ultimately, this didn't happen for Stewart, as he ran into a ton of bad luck in 2006. Even in the All-Star race, he ran into bad luck and had an altercation with Matt Kenseth, and he was extremely upset at how Matt Kenseth handled the situation.
Oh, God, there's Tony Stewart and Matt Kenseth.
Hard in the wall.
Hard in the wall.
Caution will be out.
Golly, gee. You know, Matt was already a little loose getting down. It looked like he was really almost sideways before Tony ever got in there and got on him. Have to look at that again.
Tony Stewart, twice a series champion. won't see victory lane tonight.
You know, I just, you know, at the start-finish line, he was still behind me, so I just pulled down against the grass because I was going to obviously protect the bottom. And, you know, if he got inside me, I don't know how he did. He must have run over the grass to get there. And once I said he was inside, I moved up, but he just tapped me in the left rear, and then he proceeded to take a right and run me up to the fence. So, you know, if he was under there, I didn't know he was under there. I don't know how he got there when I was against the grass.
Well, it's pretty funny. That's the first time I've actually got to sit in the truck and watch the other guy in the interview, but it's a pretty demented view from where I saw. I mean, I got to run on him like he said. At least he got that part right, but, you know, you can see where they start the camera view that he's a whole lane and a half low, and, you know, you don't go in the corner that way, so obviously he's blocking there. And, you know, if he wants to complain about me getting under there, I mean, I was there, and, you know, any other weekend that would be acceptable, but, you know, it's the next to All-Star Crash Fest. So
this has to be one of the most forgotten rivalries in NASCAR. Kyle Petty and Denny Hamlin. Kyle Petty and Denny Hamlin got together coming off of turn number 4 at Dover. They ended up both crashing out, and Kyle Petty went into the garage area, took down Denny Hamlin's window net, and started screaming at him. And they both did not hold back in their post-race interviews.
On lap 203, chase contender Denny Hamlin made contact with Kyle Petty. Sparks flew both on and off the track.
I watched the Busch race, and they said he was sick. So I guess whatever medicine he's taking makes him hallucinate because he needs 3 lanes to get around somebody on the racetrack.
Let's look back at my career. I've never wrecked anyone. My entire career has anybody spun off my front bumper. So it ain't like, you know, I'm a guy that runs into everybody. I mean, it just got to use your brain. You got to calm down. This is not over for us. A lot of guys had trouble today, and we're gonna bounce back from this. This is just one step of this 10-week chase.
Rough day for Denny Hamlin, wrecked with Kyle Petty. Then the two drivers got into a brief skirmish in the garage. Hamlin stuck in 12th place in the standings, effectively ending his bid for a championship. He hammered Petty pretty good after the race.
Kyle gets run over a lot, and a lot of the reason is he's so far off the pace, you know, and I firmly believe in my heart that he was trying to get out of the way. But you know, I was right there on his bumper on the inside of him, and I think he was trying to pull low. And when he did, he checked up to pull low. Well, I mean, you can't do that when someone's right on you. And I think,
tell you what, a lot of beating and banging out there, almost more than normal.
Yeah, we're going to kill somebody. So I mean, somebody else is going to die at Daytona or Talladega with what we're doing right here. So I hope I'm not around when it happens.
When Denny Hamlin was already a Cup Series star and already a proven Cup Series winner, a young Brad Keselowski was definitely trying to ruffle his feathers in the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Hamlin would go down and race in the NASCAR Nationwide Series to pick up wins and have some fun. But Keselowski was racing for points and championships. This did not sit well with Keselowski, as they would run into each other week after week after week. They had so many altercations on or off the track, it just became too much to bear in 2009. If you've ever wanted to see some great rivalries, just look at Denny Hamlin and Brad Keselowski in 2009 in the Nationwide Series. Their interviews, their racing, and their tempers post-race made for some great TV.
Brad Keselowski's team and the 20 of Denny Hamlin. This is one of the reasons why, guys. This is May of last year.
Yeah, it's not the first time these two drivers have been together on the racetrack. And right here, another little fisticuff broke out at Charlotte after that.
Now, late in this race, this is what happened as the laps were closing down. The contact, Denny ends up into the wall.
Yeah, Brad thought he had a run and enough room on the inside, but Denny was just driving his car back to as they were trying to go around the lap car. And then after the race, Denny Hamlin comes to pit road.
Just a few moments ago, and now let's check in with Jamie Little.
Well, a little reminiscing there, Brad, and you watched it too. So first of all, I want to know what happened between you guys on the track, and was it your fault or his fault, and then what happened afterwards?
Well, I got to congratulate Clint first. Great guy, deserves to win. Happy to see him in victory lane, so congratulations to him. But we had a great go at it at Comp Chevrolet. I made mistakes early in the race, got us behind, and the car was just good enough to drive back up there. And we got up behind Denny. I think it was maybe 10 to go, or 25 to go. I just couldn't get by him. He had a good car as well, and just had an opportunity. He left a hole to pass him, and you know, at this level.
Tony Stewart has always been one of the most aggressive drivers on or off the track. His comments post-race have always made for some great TV. Tony Stewart in 2004, this had to have been his peak tempers. It seemed like week after week after week, Tony Stewart was getting into an altercation, upset with somebody, or somebody was wrecking him. Tony Stewart just couldn't get away from his frustration in 2004. His aggressive driving would definitely go over his head a lot of the times, and in 2004 at Talladega, he would intentionally crash Kurt Busch, or maybe he didn't intentionally crash him. Maybe it was a stupid move on the racetrack, but it caused for some extreme drama on the track with Jeff Burton. He was extremely upset with Tony Stewart as he was sitting right behind the accident when it happened. But he wasn't the only one frustrated with this accident, so was Kenny Wallace and Kasey Kahne. This proves how multiple drivers were upset with Tony Stewart's aggressive driving in 2004. But honestly, he was still picking up wins, so could you blame him?
Frustrated at what happened, we listened in.
Big time, big time. Do something about that. They need to do that. Is ridiculous right there. He just freaking wrecked it. I mean, he wasn't even, that wasn't even close. He just turned and made it 3 wide and just wrecked him. That's pathetic.
Sounds like Stewart started it all, and he started a lot of things this year, so I guess.
Your mentor.
I don't know about that. I don't ride like that.
He came in today 9th in points, going to take another hit for the 2nd straight week, Jeannie.
Well, Kenny Wallace looking at a notebook, and I guess you like the numbers that you see there because you saw where the car was going. I guess the frustrating point now is where the car is at. And frustration, I guess, with the 20 car as well?
Oh, you know, I'm sure, I didn't watch Kurt Busch's interview, but I'm sure he probably spoke for us all. You know, Tony Stewart's a very good friend of mine, so I plead the, what is it, the 5th?
The 5th, my friend.
I plead the 5th because I like Tony Stewart, but...
fairness to you, early in the race, Kurt Busch, some of your other fellow drivers pointed the finger at you. Your take on the whole afternoon and that incident in particular?
I mean, I got underneath him and got him in a compromising position, and I started to back out. I just didn't back up enough to get him out of it. But, you know, everybody can say what they want, and the fans are going to say what they want, too. I mean, this is a product of restrictor plate racing, and, you know, if they want to script us a script and tell us where they want us to run each lap, that's fine. We can do that, too. But, you know, Kurt and I get along good. Sure didn't want that to happen to him or anybody else.
There were some issues here. Watch the 20 and the 15 leaving here.
I'm trying to think really why Tony's mad at the 15 car Paul Menard right now. Menard beat him out. Pretty fair and square. And he's hitting him again right now. Bam, another time. Hey, don't, you know, these guys are getting frustrated. The chase for the championship is already starting to heat up right now. Hey, Tony's not done with him right yet. Let's get in here and, oh my gosh, give him another whack right there. Now, why he would tear his own car up, I have no idea.
Alan?
You know, we talked about the tight confines down here on pit road, guys, and Paul Menard is pitted in the spot in front of Tony Stewart. Well, Paul, trying to be cautious and not run over a couple of his crew guys, didn't pull all the way up in his pit box. So Tony, who came in ahead of Paul, had to back up and go around him, and that's when you saw Menard pull out of his pit box and jump out in front of Tony. So Tony was a little upset that he had to stop and back up when he should have been ahead of, you know, how all that works, Rusty, right?
Once again, the straightaway, we see Kyle Busch. He's got to run, but as Wally said, he's not far enough along to go and take the corner. He goes in and makes contact with Hornaday, gets him sideways, but now he thinks Hornaday has it safe. He gets back on the gas and plows right in the back of Hornaday.
Quick pitbull. Oh, no, it's not enough room. Everybody's doing good, but Ron Hornaday, I mean, that's it in a nutshell. I mean, that's why he doesn't going to race for Richard Childress anymore. And the guy's got zero talent, zero ability, and wouldn't let the five. The five had to run on him 2 or 3 times down the front stretch, and the five kind of got into him because he ran the five down on the apron and brake checked him right in the middle of the corner and wrecked us all. And that just takes absolutely zero class to do that. Brake check a guy right in the middle of the corner and wreck us all. I hope NASCAR does something about it. That's just ridiculous.
This is definitely a new one for me. During a practice session for the Budweiser shootout in 2008, Tony Stewart would clip Kurt Busch, sending him hard into the outside wall and collecting his teammate Denny Hamlin. This is a practice session, the very first practice session of the season, and there was already an altercation between Tony Stewart and Kurt Busch. Both drivers would go down pit road to the garage area, banging doors with one another, as these two had already had a previous history in the year prior. In the year prior, Tony Stewart would get into Kurt Busch at Dover, and Busch was extremely unhappy with Stewart as he would park right in Stewart's pit stall when he was making a pit stop. Regardless, this was the first practice session of the season, and it was extremely uncalled for as NASCAR was extremely upset with both drivers. If you happen to just now be watching NASCAR in the most recent years, You probably wouldn't realize how much of an aggressive driver Kevin Harvick actually was in his younger days. He was a more toned-down Tony Stewart, if you will. Kevin Harvick was never afraid to put the bumper to somebody or go face-to-face with somebody who would upset him. And at Richmond in 2003, he was so upset with Ricky Rudd after Ricky Rudd wrecked him, he went down pit road, parked right next to him, got on top of his race car, and started shouting at one another. Kevin Harvick was extremely upset at Richmond this day, and honestly, I wouldn't blame him.
These guys are going, hey, get off our car, man. NASCAR officials telling Kevin to get off the car, get the crewman off the car. Kevin going to have his say. Well, here we go. He walked across the top of the 21, and now it's on.
I'll tell you what, that big official, Big Andy, Big Andy's, think about going by Andy.
Down there trying to get things settled. Looks like Kevin Harvick is walking away from the scene right now. He's still.
That's Todd Berry, the crew chief. Matt.
Yeah.
Benny, we've got Todd Berry trying to hold back Kevin. Very frustrating night, Kevin. Yeah, I tell you what, Gene Goodwin's car was good tonight. Ricky Rudd took a goddamn cheap shot at us. And if he's gonna, take a cheap shot, he's gonna get one back. I promise you that.
And it's off to the big red truck.
What an aggressive restart he had.
Oh! Kyle Busch into the wall hard. Elliott Sadler and Kyle Busch make contact. It's not going to be four in a row for Kyle Busch.
Elliott and Kyle had issues earlier in the race. You remember when Elliott and Kyle got together and Elliott ran up and sort of hit Kyle in the back to let him know he didn't like what he saw.
And there Kyle goes for retaliation. Hits the 24 of Elliott Sadler. Sadler goes around. This time the caution comes out.
Holy cow.
This is just wrong. Seeing a NASCAR Cup Series driver take out somebody in the Truck Series on purpose because they were misjudged by an accident. This is what Kyle Busch did to Elliott Sadler at Bristol during the 2011 race, and this is just an ugly look on Kyle Busch. The payback was just extremely disrespectful and uncalled for. Very unfair. I bet nobody knew this, but in 2006, Jeff Gordon was actually on probation because of a Bristol incident. In 2006, the Food City 500, Jeff Gordon was racing hard with Matt Kenseth up until Kenseth would get into Gordon, spinning him around. Post-race, Gordon would walk over to Kenseth and ended up shoving him without saying any words. NASCAR replaced him on probation, and a couple months later when they were racing for the win at Chicagoland, Jeff Gordon would intentionally wreck Matt Kenseth.
They're going to come across the side. They're going to come across start-finish line sideways and backwards.
Lap car McMurray out of the way. White flag.
Jeff Gordon just got by Matt Kenseth for third space. Harvick's there. He's there.
Oh, and look at this. The 24 just went around. And here comes the 29. Can he get to him?
We're still green.
Still green. Busch wins it.
Woo! Man, I'm glad it raced so with.
Harvick second, Jeff Gordon, who spun out over on the backstretch. Kenseth will end up in third, Carl Edwards fourth, Bobby Labonte in the 43 car fifth.
What happened to Gordon? I was watching the lead.
17 got him.
And here's what happened between Jeff Gordon and Matt Kenseth.
I think there was some other contact before that, though. I think that's how Jeff got by Matt.
Bobby Labonte almost involved in that one.
How about old Carl Edwards?
Jeff Gordon out of his car, and he's not happy with Matt Kenseth.
Boy, that's totally out of character.
Kenseth approached Gordon. Kenseth walked over to Gordon's car with his palms out, his arms open, as if to talk about it. Gordon would have none of it.
Won at Sonoma 2 weeks ago, then was caught up in a late race crash at Daytona last week. That crash cost him critical points, knocked him out of the top 10, but right now he's on the bumper of the leader. Oh! Kenseth goes around off the front end of Gordon. And automatically you think of what happened at Bristol between the 17 and the 24 that resulted in that shoving incident on pit road after the race.
I'd take a look at that again. I think that Kenseth probably got a little bit loose going in there because Gordon was so close.
Be a penalty if NASCAR
goes around Matt Kenseth. Then Kenseth racing hard with Gordon, got into his bumper. Busch, who won, and went over to apologize to Jeff Gordon. Matt admitted he probably should have waited in the heat of the battle for that to settle down. Now let's take a look at what just happened here. And keep in mind, this could send us to overtime, and fuel could be a factor.
The 17 slowed down for some reason right there. I mean, whether he got loose or whatever, I'm not saying that it was Matt's fault that he got spun out, but it did look like his car slowed down. Right there.
We heard Kenseth tell his crew on the radio that, what did he say, if NASCAR is consistent, they will black flag the 24. Is that not what he said?
Yes, and remember that Jeff Gordon is on probation.